let me acknowledge the presence of our CEO of our TMC, Advocate Msili, members from the Department of Transport, Chief of Staff, ladies and gentlemen of the media, fellow South Africans. We are at one of our best DLTCs here in Waterfall. However, we are here gathered to deal with the most difficult process of announcing people who have lost their lives on our roads. These are not just statistics that we are releasing, but it's actually our mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, relatives and children who perished on our roads. It is in that regard that I would want us to pause and observe a moment of silence in their remembrance. May their souls rest in eternal peace and rise in glory. As the ministry and the department responsible for transport, through our agencies, we developed an Easter Road Safety Plan that was informed by scientific data, including identified road collision hotspots and the times of the day at which crashes commonly occur. The plan was to be implemented by provincial and municipal authorities, whom were also allowed to customize additional interventions in response to their peculiar challenges that required specific measures. Central to the plan was the deployment of traffic law enforcement resources on certain areas on a 24/7 basis to curb lawlessness, improve compliance with road regulations, to prevent and reduce crashes, injuries and fatalities. We equally mobilize stakeholders in the private sector, faith-based and non-governmental organizations to join forces and reaffirm the message that road safety is everyone's responsibility. We also heightened awareness and road safety education. The implementation of our plan was commendable, and the country experienced incidents with only one major crash on the last day of travel when a multiple vehicle piled up occurred on misty conditions on the N3 near Hilton in KwaZulu-Natal. Apart from this unfortunate and regrettable collision, there were no other major collisions involving multiple vehicles or more than 5 fatalities during the entire period. Hundreds of thousands of motorists traveled from urban centers to the countryside, to various places of pilgrimage and holiday destinations, and arrived safely. Reports from the central toll gates indicate that we had increased traffic volumes on our major highways leading to and from Gauteng. At the start of the Easter weekend on Thursday, Central recorded an average of 2,000 vehicles an hour passing through the toll gates. The highest volume of 2,287 vehicles an hour was recorded between 16,000 and 17,000 at Pumlani Plaza on the NY towards Limpopo. At the end of the Easter weekend on Monday, the 10th of April 2023, the highest traffic volume was recorded between 17 and 1800 hours when 3,244 vehicles were recorded passing through the Pumlani Plaza into Gauteng. At the end of the holiday period, also on Monday, the highest traffic volume was recorded between 17 and 1800 hours when, in fact, I'm repeating this, and on our law enforcement officers maintained visibility throughout the period and dealt with the intransigent drivers who could not resist the temptation to break the rules of the road and share the space responsibly. As a consequence, 30,934 traffic fines were issued. That is 30,934 traffic fines were issued. 430 vehicles were discontinued because of road unworthiness related issues. 1,625 were impounded, that is vehicles for displaying invalid or fake discs and operating in violation of permits, while 1,716 drivers were arrested for excessive speeding, drunken driving, reckless and negligent driving, and operating public transport without permits. The top 5 offenses identified were speeding, driving unlicensed vehicles, driving without fastening seat belts, driving without licenses, and driving vehicles with worn-out tires. The worst speedster was nabbed on the N3 near Littleton in Centurion, Gauteng, driving at an excessive speed of 198 kilometers per hour in a 120 kilometer zone. The worst drunken driver incident was recorded in the Central Business District of Harrismith in the Free State, when a driver recorded a 1.16 milligrams of alcohol in 1,000 milliliter of breath. This was 4.8 times more than the legal limit of 0.24 milligrams in 1,000 milliliters of breath. There can be no doubt that the proactive action of law enforcement officers prevented far worse carnage on our roads. We may not be able to quantify the actual number of people that may have died had these reckless and unrepentant drivers not been caught, but we are certain that lives were saved. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express my profound disappointment and displeasure at the high rate of crashes and fatalities experienced during this Easter long weekend. The total number of fatal crashes this year is 185, resulting in 225 fatalities, as opposed to the same period the previous year, when we recorded 135 fatal crashes that resulted in 161 fatalities. The statistics on gender classification shows that there was a decrease in female fatalities from 28% in 2022 to 19% in 2023, and male fatalities increased from 67% in 2022 to 70% in 2023. Most of these young aspiring professionals whose careers were beginning to shine perished on our roads. They possess the skills that are needed to grow our country's economy and to reduce poverty, inequality, and underdevelopment. An increase in fatalities was also recorded in all provinces except for the 3 provinces, that is Mpumalanga, Western Cape, and Northwest. And we really want to congratulate these provinces for the work well done, because they decreased the numbers. Of course, the other 6 provinces that recorded an increase, which is a setback, may in fact actually impacted on our ability to attain the goals set out in the United Nations Global Road Safety Campaign to reduce road carnages by half in 2030, if not changed. The high number of road users who perished on our roads are pedestrians, and I think it's important we note this, who accounted for 44.4% of all fatalities, followed by passengers at 27.7%, and drivers accounted for 25.6%, cyclists at 1.3%, while the road user status of 1% could not be determined. So our problem really is with the pedestrians at 44.4%. As a matter of fact, others recorded a decrease, but of course the pedestrians recorded a very high increase. The highest number of pedestrians died in collisions that happened in the Western Cape, Limpopo, Gauteng, and KwaZulu-Natal. The highest number of fatalities occurred on Friday, and the lowest number was recorded on Thursday. Most of the fatalities occurred at 1500 hours and 2200 hours and were predominantly characterized by hit-and-run crashes, single vehicle overturning, pedestrian collisions, and head-on collisions. And I think it's important that we take note of this, particularly the hit-and-run crashes, because most of these people will be pedestrians who will be crossing roads, and many of them will not be that sober. Human factors, which include reckless and negligent driving, was the most prominent contributing factor in all fatalities at 96.2%, followed by road and environmental factors at 4.5%, while vehicle factors were the least contributor at 1.1%. The unacceptably high contribution of human factors reflect poor driving habits of our motorists and is also a reflection of the high number of incompetent drivers on the roads. We are scaling up anti-corruption interventions, including the use of technology such as the computerized learner license testing sheets, including the smart DLTCs, which we are at right now, which will also be rolling out throughout the country. Ladies and gentlemen, we remain resolute that we will succeed and turn the tide on the carnage on our roads. We are continuing to strengthen our measures that seek to make our roads safer, and we continue to learn invaluable lessons and will use these to bolster our traffic law enforcement interventions. In this regard, we will be rolling out, as we have always done, the 365 days road safety with a renewed vigor and determination. We owe this not to ourselves, but to the next generations that must inherit a better place than we found. We have instructed our traffic officers to reinforce and to enforce the law. Our efforts to stem the tide of fatalities on our roads will not falter. We have taken strides that have brought us closer to classifying traffic policies as an essential service of a 7-day, 24-hour job across the country, a move which will transform the face of traffic law enforcement and ensure sustained visibility on the roads. As we continue to put place building blocks for a robust and resilient traffic law enforcement model, of course that will include the new NQF Level 6 curriculum, which of course we are rolling out as we speak. Let me take this opportunity to thank all the law enforcement officials and emergency personnel who worked throughout the holiday period. A sincere word of gratitude also goes to those motorists who respected the rules of the road and conducted themselves in a manner that ensured safety of other road users. We extend a word of gratitude to the various media houses who repeatedly echoed our message of road safety and as such partnering with us. We also extend our deepest condolences to the families, friends, and next of kin of those who died on our roads. We wish a speedy recovery to all those who suffered injuries of different forms and severity, who some are still recovering in hospitals and at home. Let me assure all citizens that our country is determined to reduce road crashes and fatalities. As a nation, we are renowned for our resilience and fighting spirit. We are still making a clarion call to all our citizens to restrain themselves, that is, bazitibe, for lawlessness. Road safety is indeed a collective national responsibility, and we say, arrive alive. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the Minister. Colleagues, we'll now be opening up for a round of questions that will be posed to either the Minister and the CEO of the Road Traffic Management Corporation. So if you could please begin by saying your name, surname, as well as the organization that you're representing before posing your question. That's one. Colleagues, Bali.
Kosinathi Shazi from Power FM News. You mentioned that during the Easter period there was only one major crash, and that was the crash that happened on the N3, a multi-vehicle pileup in which 6 people died. Have you guys concluded investigations? What was the cause of the accident? And was a truck to blame? So basically, I just want to find intel about the investigations of the one major crash that happened during the Easter period. Thank you.
Which Malenga Territoire, SABC News. Would you say some of the interventions that were deployed during the Easter period have somewhat yielded results in terms of the road fatality, reducing the road fatalities in the road?
Any other question?
No, thank you very much. Maybe with the very last question, we will never know as to how many people could have died had we not put any measures to prevent and, of course, to ensure that people abide by the rules of the law. We would never have know about that. When we were at Moy River Plaza, I said to our law enforcers there that we don't know as to how many accidents have we prevented by just being there and actually impounding some unroadworthy vehicles, removing people that were drunk and so on. So we'll never know about that. But we know for sure that such measures do prevent and help us to reduce the number of fatalities that otherwise may actually happen. So yes, we think they have worked, but the increase definitely is not anything that we want. Our wish is that over the 5 days, we don't have any death. Because even if we had recorded decrease, that would still mean that there are people that died. But it is worse if it is an increase, and that is why we really are worried about that and concerned, and we feel the pain about it. So yes, the measures we believe worked, but not to the extent that we wanted them to be effective. Okay, and then coming to the issue about the major crash, we have not received the results of the investigations, so the investigations are still continuing. You will understand that that was something very major. We've got quite a number of vehicles involved, 35 of them for that matter. When you are investigating, you would want to talk to many of the people that were there that saw the accident. So it's quite a lot. It's interviews that you have to conduct, but it's the sketches that you have got to draw, and sometimes they yield what you think is the cause. Sometimes you still have got to redo everything. So yes, I think that is the issue. Other people were in the hospitals, other people were, passed on. So it's quite a major investigation that has to happen. So if not, I don't think it has been finalized this way.
The minister is very clear that the investigations are ongoing. What should be taken into account? We only are talking of the 35 vehicles, but we need to know what was the cause of the accident. To that extent, we are going to ensure that you have deeper investigations. Some of the investigations that are going to be conducted relates to the weather condition, pre and post and during. Some of the investigations that are currently being conducted, it's on the autopsy. So that those that have perished, who are drivers, we are also looking into whether there could be any factors that had contributed to the accident. But over and above, because there were many buses that were involved, you also have to get all the statements from the passengers of those vehicles. And you'll recall that they come from all provinces. So that investigation for an investigating officer that is assigned to the docket, we will be presumptuous if we say that in 30 days you will have got anywhere. Why are we doing this deeper investigation? You will recall that there will be insurances involved. You will know that there will be banks involved. You will know that there will be families that are going to be suing in the event that some of the households that have perished. So we're closing all the gaps. Should the civil litigation follow, we are, as government, are not found wanting. Just to add on the one that the minister has clearly articulated in relation whether we have stopped any other further fatalities and crashes, definitely we did. If you look in terms of the traffic volumes, as of 2020 and 2022 and this year, the traffic volumes have gone very high. So when you compare the volumes and the fatalities and the crashes, you will see that the measures that we have put were very successful. And when you also look at the times where you had higher numbers of fatalities, it happened on Sunday, and the hours are very clear to us. It's in the morning at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 4 o'clock, as well as on Saturday between 18 hours and 22 hours. What does it say to us when we analyze the statistics? Clearly, the issue of alcohol cannot be excluded. In the and pedestrians and in the early hours, the speed, because there are people who still believe that we are not 24/7 on our roads. And if you look at the people that the minister has spoken about, this person who was in his own world exceeded the limit by four times. That person was arrested at 1 a.m. So these are the people that believe that beyond 10 o'clock there are no traffic law enforcement on the road when we are there. And as the minister has said, we are intensifying our 24/7. You will meet us every corner and every street, sooner or later.
So if we look back to 2020 and the various lockdowns due to the pandemic, right? Would you say that the increase could be attributed to the fact that there are more people on the roads after many of those restrictions were lifted? And have the numbers gone back to pre-COVID levels?
Well, if you look in terms of the numbers, we exceed the pre-COVID numbers in terms of the death and fatalities. We are currently interrogating the outlet in relation of the sales of the alcohol as well as the petrol outsales, because the three combination will then give you an average of all those issues. But definitely, this was an exceptional year compared to 2020 pre-COVID, 2021. And let's have it in mind that why we're saying this, we'll recall that one of the major churches was closed, the ZCC. It was only one that is open. Now when you take all those numbers and say for the Mudisa Church as well as Nkanyezi Church, when you put the numbers together, pre-2020 we had the highest number, but those churches did not congregate, so the numbers were lesser, but we had more people that were on the road. What does it mean to us? It therefore means that the economic climate had allowed people to travel. And when you compare with the festive season, the numbers are higher than the festive season. So everybody did not travel during the festive season, they traveled in the Easter season.
Thank you very much. I think that actually marks the end of our briefing. We do take note of the issues related to pedestrians and hit and runs. And actually that is what we're saying, that we will be focusing on people who drive vehicles without number plates, because many of them are actually responsible for these hit and run. And we will meet them on the street. But thank you very much for covering this media briefing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues.